We are here with John Brassell running for the open assembly seat in the Chugiak Eagle River District. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Okay, let's get right into it. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this assembly seat?
Well, that's an interesting term, most qualified. I'm not a politician. I'm just someone who has a family, 6 children, loves the Eagle River, loves this community, and wants to see it succeed and wants the best for my kids as they grow up in this community. And when you look at that and you have a personal investment, I think that that does sort of make you qualified, because if you want your family to succeed and you want yourself to succeed in it, then that sort of spreads out through the whole community. I do have a background educationally with a master's degree in business, a master's degree in accounting. I also have a background in leadership, business management, and the healthcare industry.
All right, so if voters agree with you and you are elected, what is the first action you want to take or the first issue you want to address as an assembly member?
Well, I have sort of a 1A and a 1B. There's some things that are really at the top, and that's crime, and that's making sure that we stay within our budget. Those 2 areas, as I go around our community and I'm knocking on doors, the first thing that people say is, hey, did you hear about the crime that happened there? Or did you hear about, our neighbor down the street, someone walked into their garage? That is on the first and foremost of everybody's mind, is how can we address this crime situation? Because everybody's a little shocked that the crime rate how it has increased over the last couple of years. The murder rate is just unprecedented. But then there's also the concern, is my property value going up? How's the budget looking? Are we going to be spending and taxing? Those are really 2 of the primary concerns that I am receiving from my constituents.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of them. We'll start with the budget. What do you think about the budget the Assembly just passed?
Well, I'm a zero-based budget type of person. I like to go through line by line. I think it's a little aggressive. I think that there's some ways that we can make some cuts that we're not going to really see or feel or hurt. So as a line-by-line type of person, you go in and you really see which one is suspect and which one can pass the mustard, and finding out, should we really be spending this amount of money, or can we make some adjustments here? And the way that I look at it is very simplistic. I'm a dad, I'm a family guy, and I sort of put things more in layman's terms. You have to crawl before you walk, and you have to walk before you run. And that's the way I sort of look at it with the budget. We've got to make sure that we are not spending unnecessarily, but then we can't reach over here and say, oh, well, we need to start taxing because we need to increase some funding coming in. They use the word revenue. That's just a political term of saying, hey, we're going to add more taxes to you.
So do you see some areas that they could have cut more?
We can get into a whole bunch of different issues, which would bring into a whole lot of conversation. You can look at overtime. You can look at, with inside the departments. One of the areas that's just a disaster is the SAP. Just millions of dollars being spent. And I look back and I say, did we really go through this and use good, solid, common sense leadership in addressing these? So there's a plethora of line-by-line items that we can go through when we look and we target how we can cut some of the spending.
Okay. Do you support a sales tax as a way to take some of the tax burden off property owners and diversify our tax base? We're talking about a sales tax under the tax cap.
I am not in any mood to tax our citizens. Again, it goes back to the crawl, walk, run. We need to go through, first of all, and find out where we are on the budget and what cuts that we can make. Now, am I saying cut? No. I'm saying let's be logical, let's be common sense about it. Let's go through this line by line and find out where our savings can be found. I think that that's the first approach before we start addressing, well, let's start incorporating sales tax, or let's increase property tax, or all of these others. I think that that's part X, Y, and Z, and I think that we still need to address A, B, and C.
Okay. What grade would you give Anchorage on how the Muni is dealing with the homeless issue? How are we doing?
Interesting question, because then you would ask, well, is that really a government function? Is that something that the government should be spending resources to address? I would like to see that as more of a private sector. There's ways that the local government can help and assist and promote, and I'm all in favor for that, and for resources to do that. But I believe that we should be encouraging our private sectors to be highly engaged and realize that it is an epidemic and it is a problem. And for our community that they are living in, that they're part of the solution in helping the homeless situation.
So would you say the Muni's doing too much right now?
In some areas, yes, I would. I would give us, you asked for a grade, I would give us probably a C. Okay. On how we're addressing that.
And not because we need to do more, but you just don't, you think that the Muni's taking up some responsibility that it doesn't need to?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So moving on, the mayor wants to grow the police force by another 56 officers in this next fiscal year. You said public safety is one of your top priorities.
Yes.
Do you think there are other ways the Muni can address public safety issues other than hiring more officers?
I do. I've done some research on this nationally. There's a wonderful program out there that's called COP, C-O-P. It's Citizens Observation Patrol. We have something similar to that out in Birchwood, the Birchwood Community Patrol. I believe that allows us to have people who may be interested in law enforcement, maybe saying, hey, I might want to get involved in this and see how I like this. And maybe it's a career step. I have a 21-year-old son that would love to do something like that, and he's always had interest in maybe going to be a state trooper or into the police department. And for him to have that experience of being able to patrol the neighborhoods, for us to have an investment in our own neighborhoods and communities, whether that's downtown or your regular neighborhood residential area. So I really like the idea of COP's, Community Observation Patrols. I also like the idea of having law enforcement come into our homeowners associations in our neighborhoods and developing training programs for them to come in and say, hey, here are the things that we look at when we're trying to investigate different crimes or being on watch for suspects. Here's some notices that we are, here's a car that has been on our radar that we've been looking out for. And that's just a very topical explanation, but a way for law enforcement to come into our communities and help train us so that we can help them better.
Okay. The mayor has said he will not allow our police department to round up refugees for the Immigration Service, even under the threat of losing federal funds. Do you agree with him on that?
To not agree with him. That is, well, Homer just dealt with that, as a sanctuary city. We have to protect our American citizens. We have to protect our Alaska citizens and our Anchorage citizens. So, no, I believe, as you've heard Trump say, and sort of the catchphrase is America first, Alaska first, Anchorage first. So I am not in support of his movement in that area.
Do you think that's going to be a popular opinion given that Anchorage has some of the most diverse communities and school districts in the country?
Well, I think there's the confusion there because, and I don't really mean to take this too far off, but it's not immigrants that's the problem. It's illegal immigrants. So that is not the issue when we talk about how diversified we are. I love that we're a diversified community. I think that makes us a better community. It makes us stronger. The area that seems to get caught up is, immigration, how are we going to be able to tackle that? It's illegal immigration.
Do you think the Muni should find a way to allow ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft to operate here in Anchorage?
I do. I think that's a great idea. I believe we're all for free market. We love capitalism, and it gives an opportunity for someone to make a little extra money. One of the issues that we're seeing that's a problem, especially out in my area in Eagle River, Chugiak, is the wait for a cab. One time I went to the airport and I waited for an hour and a half for a cab. And I almost missed my flight. And here I am panicking as I'm standing trying to get, through security check and then sprinting down past the Starbucks to get to gate C so that I can jump on the airplane. So I look at that as my brother, he has participated in Uber and says it's great. He can choose when he wants to work. If he needs a little extra money, he can utilize that opportunity. And there's a lot of people out in the Chugiak Eagle River who could utilize that too. You have people who just need to run up to the grocery store, and instead of waiting for a cab to come all the way from Anchorage and hit the Chugiak area, you can look and you can find out if someone's local that's, you know, that would be willing to do that. And it really helps with our transportation problem that we're seeing develop more and more out in the Eagle River Chugiak area.
Okay. Well, John Brassell, running for the open seat in Chugiak Eagle River, thank you for your time. Best of luck.
Great, thank you.